Doke. Okie doke. So, thank you very much for taking the time out to sit down and chat with me. I suppose the first question is what is The Boy with Two Hearts?
Thank you for having me. That's let's start with that. The Boy with Two Hearts. I think the best way I can describe it, it's a story of family,
Hmm.
story of love, story of hope. Um, in this case, it's a story of my family leaving home, Afghanistan, for two reasons. Mum giving a speech for women's rights and equality, and my older brother having a very complex heart condition. The book then follows the family's journey across several countries over a 18 months journey into UK. And then he looks at the integration, settling down, and my older brother and how he goes about his life, needing a life-saving operation to make him better in a sense, which is what he couldn't get back home. That's in essence the story of The Boy with Two Hearts.
So it started off as a book. What was the book writing process like? How did you find creating your story in a book?
Um, I always wanted to write a book about our journey, and the book was going to be us leaving and coming to UK and settling and having a job, etc.
Yeah.
But as I was sharing my story with people around South Wales and to be fair, other locations, schools and universities, I then felt the need to write a book. In 2018, with my older brother passing away suddenly,
Mm.
I did feel the need that I need to write a book and share this story because that was the only way I was going to cement his legacy and the kind of person he was.
Mm.
That was the starting point of me simply getting everything out of my system emotionally, um, putting stuff that I thought I would never admit as I hid for my mum and dad. Um, and that's what it was. 3 months, 86,000 words of me simply getting everything out of my chest, out of my mind, into a piece of paper.
Mm. And then obviously it was then picked up by the Millennium to be produced into a show. What was working with the Millennium to take your story, in person? What was that process like, taking it to a live performance?
Um, when I wrote the book, I never imagined um, where it is today. For me, it was a way to just capture everything that we went through. The book was a success. It was book of the week, and
Oh.
I approached Wales Millennium Centre randomly, call of fate. Met someone in the coffee area in Wales Millennium Centre where I've never been to a theatre before. The book wasn't even out at the time. This is 2 years ago, if not longer than that. I met a lovely lady called Emma Evans, and I said, "Look, I think I've got a story. It's very personal to me, but I think it'll be powerful." I talked for an hour, and she said, "Have you been to a theatre?" I said, "No." Invited me to a theatre for the first time ever, and I was like, "Wow, this is what theatre is, and
Mm.
how powerful it can be." Fast forward 2 and a bit years later, today, Saturday, marks a week since the play has come out in Wales Millennium Centre. We've had amazing reviews, including yourself, from Wales National. And I just left the theatre not so long ago for the 2:30 show, and it was a full house, a standing ovation.
Mm.
And I'm just excited and feels still unreal to be sharing my story with thousands of people in South Wales and hopefully
Mm.
around the UK.
Obviously, I heard that you've seen the show obviously quite a few times through its journey and while it's being performed. Does it still do you still find it as emotional having seen it so many times?
Yeah, yeah. I mean, I haven't missed a show yet. I've gone to all of them, and someone said to me that's quite a lot. And my response is simple. I physically feel my brother's essence in a
Mm.
room. I see the five of us together, and if when someone passes away, you never have that chance and opportunity, and I do. So why not go to every show?
Yeah.
Um, where it hits me each show is certain moments that I know that was me. But I somehow see as an audience
Yeah.
until I see our pictures come on the screen. And then I realize, oh wow,
Yeah.
this is my life, this is my journey, this is my family. So yeah, it does still hit me every time I go see it.
Mm. And you touched on it a little bit, but what has the sort of response, the feedback about the play been?
Amazing, amazing. I mean, from national, local, but even just people who've never met me, I've never met family, come in, they haven't even read the book. Um, they come out. I've spoken to a few strangers today when they realize
Mm.
I'm Hamid, which is a bizarre experience for them. Um, and everyone says it's just so powerful. It has so much laughter and humor, but also has those raw emotions that we all feel because it's a family story.
Mm.
Um, I want to hear that. And when everyone says this needs to be a national tour, this needs to be
Yes.
international, this needs to be on the TVs, it excites me even more because it's no longer my crazy dream in my head. It's actually,
Yeah.
people also have the same view.
Yeah, you talked about the sort of the bit of humor, obviously the seriousness, the more emotional moments. They all come together to really. I don't know how to describe it. It becomes like such a relatable story, even if you haven't gone through the experiences that your family have. You still feel like, oh, this is what this is like my family. We've gone through similar. So it is incredibly powerful. Um, so what is next for the play then? What's next? Is there any big ideas, pipeline dreams?
I For me, when I wrote the book, and I had this conversation with mum and dad. We were driving past Wells Millennium Centre, and I said to Dad, one day your story, your son's story is going to be on that stage. And my dad said, "You're crazy." And now I'm there every night
Hmm.
watching the play. I think for me, there's been occasions over the past few years where mum says to me, I don't want to forget Hussein. I don't want to
Yeah.
forget his laughter, his jokes, his sense of humor. And that's what drove me in the first place, a way to secure his legacy,
Yeah.
his essence in a book. That turned out to be in a play. And now I have this vision in my head that I want it to be around UK, if not around the world, from an international tour for the play. But one day, and ultimately, I think when I'll stop chasing and actually pausing, is go to the Netflix app, tell to mum and dad, especially my mum, there's your son's story. Yes, he was only 31 when he passed away, but look, he's been introduced to people around the world. Not only he will never be forgotten, he's actually more people know about him than they did when he was around. And that's so powerful for me to be able to say that to mum and dad. And that's
Yeah.
what drives me every day.
Has mum and dad seen the play?
They have, yeah. So dad watched it and mum watched it on day one, not press night. Because press night was just
Yeah.
it was so emotions were being even more heightened because the what it meant. Um, we were all crying. I'm a younger brother. We were all crying throughout and laughing because we could just I'd see myself and my dad would see himself. Um, they've not been since then because obviously it's really hard for them. Um, but I know they're buzzing and it's a distraction. It's a positive distraction that I can allow my mum and dad to have because for a parent to lose a child, it's really, really tough. And I've experienced that when I've seen my parents and how hard it is for them, especially your oldest son, and especially someone like Hussein, who was the glue of the family as well.
Hmm. So this is obviously it is about the journey and adapting to Welsh life, but it also it's almost a love letter to the NHS as well. Um, why do you think? Obviously, why was that important for you to include?
Um, I think for me, it comes out in the play. but it comes out in the book a lot more. So for me, the journey was tough. The journey impacted me in ways that I never understood why, which is why I struggled in school. And it comes out in, me being quite defensive. The first time where I witnessed and humanity was kind of restored in my head was going to hospital, seeing nurses and doctors who I couldn't actually communicate because of the language barrier. And all they wanted to do was to look after my brother and trying to work out what was wrong with it. And when I witnessed that, total strangers, the way they treated my family and my older brother, and just wanted, they loved it as much as they loved the way I loved it. That's when I realized NHS, and they are, as I've used before, to me, NHS are part of my extended family because they've done so much. They gave me additional 17, 18 years for my older brother. And they will be part of me tomorrow, next week, and for as far as I live, because they just gave me something that, that you can't put a price to it.
Yeah. And obviously, especially right now with everything we've gone through the past 2 years and sort of the focus being back on, how important, the healthcare workers and doctors are right now, obviously it's even more impactful for an audience right now in this moment to see, a tribute essentially to the services that the NHS do. And obviously we're all incredibly grateful. And, we've seen an even more bigger sort of appreciation. So it seems like the perfect time to have produced this play.
Bizarrely,
Yeah.
yes, 100%. We all had a tough time with COVID. We all felt and saw the value of loved ones, when you couldn't go visit them or hug them, our grandparents that I know from my friends that they couldn't go see them in the care homes and how they were affected. I think that you see a bit of that value of family in the story. But then you're right, I've known for years the value of NHS and what those guys do and how much they put in and to simply saving people. And I think this play kind of brings that to the forefront and say, these guys have been there for years.
Yes.
And no matter COVID or not, they'll always be there for us. They're the backbone of UK. And I know it sounds really cheesy, but it's the truth. And I think it comes out in a play when you see it, how much NHS plays a factor. And I think it's those elements that, as you said, it makes it relevant and resonates with everyone because you just get that sense, I've gone through something similar, but from a different, spectrum. 100%.
The other thing that's in the show that I thought was amazing was the inclusion of Farsi, and touches on some customs and traditions. Why was that important for you to put into the play to show to audiences?
I think one thing we didn't realize, and it has done it, and the play has done this. We wanted to keep it as authentic as possible. Also, you want to show what the world looks like from my lens, in a sense, and my family's lens. What we didn't realize the play would do is the play attracted one of the most diverse cast we've ever seen. We've got 3 Afghan actors. We've got an Afghan singer. You've got myself and my younger brother from Afghan descent. So you have a very authentic Afghan cast that those guys have never been in a room with that many Afghans from a cast perspective. I think what it also has done, and I never imagined, is we have somehow opened the doors to have the most diverse audience as well, because half the audience that I've witnessed in the past few days, they've never been to a theatre. So through this story, we're going to not just share a story, the story of love and family and NHS and so much more, but also we are opening doors which will eventually fix a problem with lack of BAME in the creative industries, because you're getting those members through the door to watch a play that they can resonate and relate to. That's something I didn't expect, and it's been a nice surprise to see in the past few days.
Yeah. Okay. And okay, so the final question is, where can people follow you and your projects and the show?
I guess the best way is social media. So I think it's Hamid Amiri 1989 in Twitter and Hamid.Amiri 1989 on Instagram. And it sounds really cheesy, but if they just put Hamid Amiri on Google, they should be able to link it to my profile. People got any questions and they've watched the show, not watched the show, give me a shout. I'm always keen to let people know if they got any concerns, if they got any questions, if something was missed in the play. And I guess if you are in around South Wales, go check out Ripples of Kindness in Wales Millennium Centre, which is a VR experience based on our story, different to the play, but something very powerful. And that's going to be there till November.
And how long is the play in the Millennium for?
Say that again.
How long is the play going to be staying in Millennium?
It's on till 23rd of October, so just about 2 more weeks. And if you're around or if you want to make a trip to South Wales, please come and see it. It's fun, it's laughter, it's humor, it's a story of family which we can all relate. And I promise you, you will not regret it.
Okie doke. Thank you very much for chatting with me. I shall speak to you soon.
Take care. Thank you for having me.
Thank you. Bye. Oh.